Hello folks, we're here to introduce a very exciting new segment for the Northwood Sporting Journal TV show. As most of you know, Vic and I love to eat. Usually not what we shoot or what we catch because that's slim pickings. But we have some generous friends in the outdoors that help us out there. And we've always enjoyed that when we go to see our outfitters and our sporting goods retailers. So one of the things I wanted to do today is introduce you to Mike Anderson of Winterport Winery. Mike, we're glad to partner with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. We stumbled on this quite amazingly. It's a treasure to us. But I do love wine and I love good meals. And even though I love camp cooking and brook trout over the fire, I like an elegantly prepared meal. And I've been a little bit afraid to delve into that, thinking it's too complicated. And the other thing, and I think a lot of our viewers will agree, is that sometimes it's easy to wonder what wine goes best with a meal. It seems daunting at first. But I think you've got to simplify that, and we're going to talk with your chef a little bit later on here in this segment. But why don't you tell us where Winterport Winery came from and what your passion is with this industry?
Well, the winery started because I had been working in a job for quite a number of years, and it was time for me to move on. The business was changing, and I needed something else to do. And this was an outgrowth of basically a 37-year-old hobby.
Excellent.
The first year that Joan and I were married, she gave me a 1-gallon winemaking kit. And basically, I've been making wine ever since.
How did you come here to this location in Winterport?
We had a dear friend that owned this building, and the building had been originally designed and put up in 1991 for a hardware store. We've had several people come in and look at the building and say, you know, this was never supposed to be, you know, a hardware store. This was always supposed to be a winery or pairings where we expanded out into.
You just mentioned pairings, and that's the transition I wanted to go to because that's an exciting thing else. How did pairings come about, and what basically is that? Because we're standing in the kitchen.
Well, we call it pairings at Winterport Winery. And pairings was an outgrowth of our number one question that we get in the winery. People would come in and they say, oh, I love your blueberry wine. What food should I be serving with that? And you would say, well, you know, this would go with a roast or the dried blueberry. A different version of our blueberry would be great with a pasta dish or something Italian. And so, you know, we get that question. Which of your wine should I serve, you know? And then we get the same question, only backwards. They come in and they say, I make this dynamite cheese souffle. What wine should I serve with it? And if you think about it, it's the same question, but you're going from the other end of the sentence. So pairings is that almost mystical or magical art of pairing foods and wines. Properly chosen and paired, food will make my wine taste better. And I know that my wine will help dishes properly paired. But you can go along, it goes both ways. And it is very dramatic too. You find the right thing and it is absolutely wonderful and luscious, and it improves the whole experience. You get the wrong one and sometimes it's barely edible or barely drinkable.
Exactly. I've experienced that before, thinking I knew.
Well,
so I think that's exciting to me. It's going to be the education process.
Well, the difficulty comes because your palate's different than mine. So even though there might be some general ideas or general backgrounds or guidelines, in the end, you know, it's really what you enjoy and how you want to serve it.
Well, I'm excited. So as we go forward with this and we have our little segments when we're featuring our game, and I'll be talking with Chef Lori here in a moment, I think this is going to be a good marriage simply for the fact there's a lot of sportsmen out there and they want to be responsible with the game as well. You know, I think a lot of times we think about the conservation, we think about the hunting heritage and the traditions here in Maine and northern New England. But just as importantly, we need to be responsible with the game, the care of the game in the field and when we get it home. And as I mentioned earlier, we prepare it in the field sometimes and we prepare it differently at hunting camp. But when we bring this home to our spouses, whether it be our wife or whether it be our husband, it's nice to know that you can prepare game that are shot in the wild elegantly and fish that are caught elegantly, and it's not as daunting as it seems.
Well, you know, wild game was the food of kings.
Absolutely.
You know,
look at England.
England France.
That's right.
It wasn't the peasants that were eating the wild game.
That's right.
It was the meat was going to the kings and the royalty, and they certainly were drinking wine at that time.
That's right. There's a great variety here in New England. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm looking forward to this. Thanks, buddy.
John, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello, folks. I'm here with Chef Lori now, Lori Turner. Welcome. This is an exciting part to me.
It is.
Lori is the chef here at Pairings. What do you do here? We're standing in the kitchen, but what does Pairings have to offer people in the community?
We have a very wide variety of everything from events. We've had bar mitzvahs, we've had weddings, we've had wedding rehearsal dinners, we've had 50th birthday party dinners.
You offer cooking classes.
We do.
That interests
We
me.
do.
And that'll probably be part of the segments, if you can imagine. Vic and I are going to need some counseling and some coaching. But what are the cooking classes like? What's that entail?
A wide variety of cooking classes, and we have guest chefs coming in, but our primary focus is to educate people how to pair Winterport Winery wines with a meal that they're preparing.
I'm excited. Now, for the hunters and fishermen, and that's our ballywag here, and that's what we're all about. We have such a great variety here, as I mentioned, I'm talking with Mike. But just take, for instance, there's 4 samples of some of the wines that are here. Why don't you show one of us and just give us an idea what it could go with?
Okay, if we were to be preparing venison steaks.
Yes, one of my favorites.
And keeping it very simple, we're just going to heat a pan, salt and pepper it, have some roasted red potatoes from the garden, and a garden vegetable, maybe some roasted butternut squash. We would pair that with our blueberry wine. It just really enhances the flavors, and it's a great pairing.
Now you've got some lighter stuff. This
Yes.
isn't white wine, this is pear wine.
Yes.
I'm thinking, and this is easy for me to say, but this would be good to like with rough grouse maybe, or pheasant?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Yes, it would. And
Awesome.
and again, you could have it paired with that, or you could cook with that to just enhance the flavors
Oh, it's
of
a
that.
cooking wine.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Either way.
Give you some heads up on what we're talking about, whether it's fowl for waterfowl hunters or upland birds, or whether it's fishing. I know Jody and I, another gentleman that works here, plan to do some ice fishing. We'll probably
Yes.
pop some catch on to you.
Looking
And
forward
we'll
to it.
learn how to take those. And even though a lot of us guys are good camp cooks, I think we're going to have some interesting stuff here, and it's going to be a very requested segment on the show. So welcome aboard, and thank
Well,
you very
thank
much.
you.
We appreciate it.
Look forward to cooking with you.
All right, sounds good, folks. Hello, folks. I'm standing here with Mike in the retail portion of Winterport Winery. Mike, you've got a lot of wines. How
Yeah,
many do you have to offer?
Well, I think we have 15 now.
Okay.
We just added another sparkling wine, but we have every style that you can think of. We've got still wines, regular table wines.
Okay.
We've got a couple blends. We've got some dessert wines. We've got a couple sparkling wines. So, I mean, we cross all of the
The
lines.
sparkling wines. What's that? I had your cranberry wine, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, well, this year we did something a little special. We actually sparkled some cranberry.
Probably have to end up trying that.
Well,
So-
we can arrange that too.
I was excited that you had some ales. And
Yeah,
you've got the Scottish ale here.
Right.
And you've got this blonde ale.
Right.
How did this come about?
Very simply, we had a lot of fellows that would get dragged kicking and screaming into the winery by their wives and their girlfriends.
I can see that sometimes.
They
I
would
can see that.
stand right by the door looking
Sure.
at their truck because they were afraid one of their buddies was going to see it. Now they got to come up with a story, why they're in there. And I would go by and I'd say, well, would you like to try our wines? And the guys said, no, I drink beer.
Right.
And I said, well, it's free. No, you don't understand. I drink beer.
Right.
So I came up with the solution.
These are, I just noticed because I thought these were a pint, but these are actually a little bit larger. You've got an extra 6 ounces. I appreciate that.
These are 22-ounce bottles.
Absolutely.
In the trade, we call them bombers.
Now this one is Penobscot Bay Brewery.
Yes.
Obviously, just a name for it, but Old Fashioned Scottish Ale. Is this a little stronger than the blonde ale, I
Yeah,
assume?
this is actually a heavy ale. It's
Okay.
6.2% alcohol, and there is a lot of grain. We don't brew with any liquids. They're all grain based. So we mash our own grains here.
That's
and
awesome.
extract that out. And I like ales because they're a little heartier. And so the first one was our Scottish ale. Old factory whistle, and the tagline on the bottom says 3 long toots and you're done for the day. So that's been a good one. Then we came
That'll appeal to those guys that didn't want the
we
wine.
came out with Wig Street. Wig Street
Sure.
is actually our cross street that we sit on. The corner
yes,
of
okay.
Route 1A and
Yes,
Wig Street
okay.
is where our building is. And my daughter-in-law drew us another beautiful picture.
Super.
So this is more of a summer type of ale.
Okay. Like a pale ale?
It's a little lighter, 4% alcohol, but they're both ales, but very different.
There you go.
And then the third one that's still coming, which is very close, would be our stout.
Okay.
So we're coming out with
Is that like a red, like an Irish?
No, it's a very strong porter.
Okay.
It's a very old porter recipe that we've tweaked. And so usually stouts were strong or they stood heavy. So this is a stout beer. And so
guys,
shortened it up.
there's no compromise here anymore. You have to come in.
Yeah.
Great selection of wines, and it looks like 2 awesome ales. Amen.
That's
all
what
right.
we're all about.
Thanks for sharing a little bit about your wines and these ales.
Yeah, thank you,
And
John.
I know they're going to be looking forward to seeing those.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, bye.